bicycle brand.
Oh, Cervelo.
Okay. What's that one bike you would, if you had enough money, you would go for?
Oh, I'd probably get a Cervelo PX.
Okay.
PX.
What's your favorite watch brand?
Oh,
Global fitness as well as youth icon, I would say. Why? Because he has a British passport, he lives in Dubai, and he represents India in all his races. He's a coach and he's an athlete. He quit his 12-year-long career in finance to pursue a career in fitness. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Rohit Verma. Rohit, thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking your time out and doing this for all our viewers. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the invite. It's a weird feeling, but very humbling. So I really appreciate it.
When we were doing a bit of research about this particular episode, you had shared a few of your achievements, and I cannot even begin to sort of start saying that because that's just gonna take about 5 to 10 minutes. So I want you to start off a bit about your current achievements and a bit about your background.
I was born in the UK because my parents were working as doctors in the UK from 71 till about 82. So I was born in 79 in Birmingham. They got offered a job to come to Dubai for 1 year in 81, 82, and that ended up being till now.
Oh.
So moved here when I was about 2 years old. That's why I got the British passport. And schooling has always been in Dubai, in Sharjah and Dubai. And I always loved sports. Sport was something that was part of my life growing up. Any racket sport, of course, cricket, because I remember hearing the 1983 World Cup when India won on the radio in Dubai. And then, of course, you must have heard about matches happening in Sharjah. That was a common occurrence, India-Pakistan, being there. I used to go with my dad and my family. So cricket was a first love. And eventually I played it at school level, at university level. I played club cricket in the UK. I played semi-pro as well. So I played a couple of amateur world championships in both Australia, South Africa, and the UK. Uh-huh. I also played squash. I started playing squash at the age of 9. And I pretty much played divisional squash in Dubai. I played university and club squash in the UK. And I end up being probably top 20 in Dubai till about 2010. And then I got kind of sidetracked and a bit bored of the game because I played it for so many years that I got kind of bored and wanted a different change. But obviously it helped a lot because when I was growing up, I was a typical Punjabi boy, quite chubby. I love playing sport, but I love eating. Eating was my I think my national sport. I was doing that as a pastime. Everywhere I go, I used to just eat. So I was very, very chubby. And then in 2000, I think probably 2007, when I was still sort of playing cricket, still playing squash, I wanted to go to the gym, started going to the gym, losing a bit of weight. I think in 2007, when I met my wife to be, I was probably about 105 kilos.
Wow.
I was still very fit, but I was obviously big. Not like a big tummy. I was just generally quite big. Started training, and then I think when we got married in 2009, I was down to about, in 2009, I was down to about 94 kilos, so about 9 kilos less. And then I kind of took it another step further, and then I lost another 20 kilos over the next 6 months.
Wow, 20 kilos in 6 months?
20 kilos in 6 months. And all I did was I really focused on, being clean in terms of diet. I wasn't training hard. I was doing an hour in the gym 5 times a week, and I was doing a couple of hours of squash. That was it. Mm-hmm. My diet was very, very clean. And then just stuck with sport. And at the same time, I was doing my whole corporate job. I was working initially with, PwC as surprisingly enough, as a chartered accountant, which is a long time ago. And then before we got married, then I got made redundant during the recession in 2008. I joined as a buyer for Nike. So I was handling Nike football for about a year. And then my wife Swati and I decided to go to the UK, do an MBA. So we went to the UK, did the MBA, and during the MBA, I was lucky enough. I did my thesis was on marketing, but with Worcester County Cricket Club. So I got to be at a cricket club, focusing on ways that they could have increased revenue just based on marketing. Because the way things worked in the UK was that revenues were very low. If any cricket clubs were making a profit, that was a good thing. Otherwise, most of them were breaking even. All of them. So helped them with that, and then came back. I got headhunted again to be in a corporate job. Did that for about 5.5 years, and then I think 2015, just around about the time where the Cricket World Cup happened in 2015, I told my wife, I said, you know what, I'm kind of done. I really like fitness. I want to see if I can do something with fitness. So, did my certifications to be a personal trainer. Started with a couple of clients here and there, scrounging around to make whatever I was making as a corporate guy. So you can imagine I was making possibly not even 10% of that a month for a few months. That's the amount of money that I would make. So it was very, very hard. And then the clients started kind of picking up. I started putting myself out there on Instagram. And then, of course, during that time, I kind of started dabbling into the idea of doing triathlons because I would...
Before we go into the triathlon story, I would let's go back a little and we'll come to that, guys. Another thing I want to highlight about Rohit is that he's a specialist for 70.3 Ironman 70.3, which is the 113 kilometers shorter form of Ironman races, and that's an important discussion that we will be having as we go along. But before we do that, I want to reverse a little and delve a little bit deeper about your weight loss journey. So why? Because this is also closer to my heart. I was also like a big ass guy when I was like 17. I was 112 kilos, and in a year I also dropped around 32 kilos and came down to about 80 kilos. And that's why I want to go deeper into it, because of late, most of the transformation journeys start with the basic premise of losing a few kilos, and then that's when people discover more about it. So Rohit, tell us a little bit about your initial weight and then the final weight and the journey and what you actually did to reach.
So yeah, I was probably at my heaviest. I was probably about 105 kilos. I didn't have the best back because I hurt my back as well at that time, so I had a pretty poor back. Luckily, my sister and my brother-in-law are both into nutrition, as well as sports therapy and also in training. So we found out that I was intolerant to gluten, intolerant to dairy, and that was something that Indians and rotis they go together. It's a common thing. So to ask somebody who's Indian not to have rotis and naans, and it's a very difficult thing. So. But I was actually very determined because I felt like there was a lot I was missing out on, because I felt like even if I was 5 kilos lighter, I knew that my cricket would be better. I knew my squash would be a lot better. So I said, let's just keep going. And I literally would go to the gym, I would train, but my food was extremely clean. I mean, the only carbs I had for 5 days of the week, my only carbs were like whatever carbs come in vegetables. So no aloo, there was no rice, no bread, no potatoes, no milk. My only carbs were whatever you get from regular vegetables like broccoli and stuff like that. I'd have dal because I love dal, and my other love was ketchup.
Listeners, don't fall out of the stream after hearing this, that you were off this and that.
But to be honest, it's a very mental thing. A lot of people feel like we can't do it, and it's just a matter of once you do it and you see changes happening, then you don't want to go back. That's the thing. And a lot of people that's what happened. A lot of people yo-yo between weight. For me, it was like, I knew that I've got rid of all these clothes. I've got smaller set clothes. I do not want to get into that situation where I go back, because I felt so much better. And performance, because I'm a very competitive guy, so performance got so much better that I was like, there's no way I can go back to where I was. So I was very clean 5 days of the week. And on a Friday morning, which was our weekends are Fridays and Saturdays, on a Friday morning, I'd always play cricket. So I'd play cricket, come back home, and I'd bake myself a cake probably about that big. So I'd bake, and it'll be without any milk, without any gluten. So it'll be a very nice chocolate cake. I'd have a nice big pot of coffee, and I'd have the whole cake on a Friday.
What are you saying?
Nobody would share it. My mom, I wouldn't let her have a piece. I wouldn't let Swati have a piece. I would just have the whole, literally, I would say 98% of that cake would be all mine. In that one sitting.
During your journey, fat loss journey, or this is before?
This is during the fat loss journey.
Wow. And you still managed to lose weight week after week.
Yeah, because the idea was that cake and that Friday was a day where I built up carbs that I would deplete over the next 6 days.
Okay.
So it's like almost like the whole week's worth of carbs. Not really the whole week's worth, but a certain amount that your body will store to keep your body going. I would survive on that set of carbs, and then by the time I get to the next Friday, I would replenish again. But I lost weight relatively quickly. I mean, 6 months for 20 kilos, and I was never sick. I was supplementing very, very clean. I was having, like your fish oils, your vitamin C's, vitamin D's. I wasn't skipping meals. I wasn't taking any meal replacement. I was eating 2-3 meals a day like I normally do, but just very, very clean.
Okay. And so Rohit, what do you have to say for people who sort of start hitting plateaus? Is hitting plateaus a function of a diet, or there is a shortage of kind of calories that you're burning? What are you on it?
It depends on what they're doing. So, like example, I mean, I've got a current client who's at the same sort of situation. It's always about what can you do that your body is not used to that is going to be good for you. So let's say somebody who's pretty overweight and let's say can only walk on a treadmill, but he's lost enough weight that he can probably add in. He's got to a point he's plateauing, but he or she can probably do a jog. Once you get them to shift from let's say from a walk to a jog, that automatically shocks the system, and you can get over that plateau. So it's a matter of making those small changes, whereby your body is kind of not used to it. When it comes to diet, I think if your diet is very, very clean and you're training very, very hard, there's no reason why you can't get fitter, and of course at the same time lose some weight or gain some muscle. But there are obviously other thought processes behind it, whereby even some people have intolerances to food. Like I found out a year and a half ago that I was intolerant to shrimps, even though I love shrimps. I've stayed off it because I don't want to have any repercussions. Not that it'll affect me physically, but within my gut it might affect me. So I just avoid it.
Yeah, I think it's also good to know your let's say in sports we have limitations and strengths, and then you try to work on your those limitations as well. But in diet also, this is probably one of the most overlooked areas for general masses and general fitness, that people are not aware. And especially like coming back to that Punjabi thing or the Indian thing, that stuff people would not even accept the concepts of like gluten intolerance, or they won't accept the concept of being intolerant to milk and milk products. Like that is like antithesis, right? That's like, what are you saying? Everyone is supposed to have that. But once you overcome these kind of, that this is something of your limitations, and you stop them, avoid them, makes you a better person as an athlete, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, people don't understand the fact, like when people get a puppy, they always want to give the puppy milk. But ideally, you should not be giving a puppy milk. Do you know that?
No.
They can't digest milk.
Really?
Dogs can't digest milk at all.
So milk and sugar?
They should have milk, sugar. They should have milk, sugar, or salt.
Or salt?
Or salt, because the problem is that dogs are continuously sweating.
Okay.
They don't realize they're sweating, but they're continuously sweating. That's why they drink so much water. So even salt or sugar or even milk, it just doesn't suit their bellies. I mean, they'll have it. It might not show, but it doesn't. They're not supposed to have milk.
Oh.
It's very interesting. Like people don't know it, but it's a very interesting topic, very interesting part.
I think similar theory also applies to the general moms as well. Indian moms, always trying to feed their kids also stuff which the kids are not ready for, or pyar mein, they'll keep giving you stuff, maybe making you either obese or maybe exposing you to lifestyle diseases. Yeah. So just the last part of this weight loss for general masses. Now, when people start off their journey on a weight loss program, through diet or through exercising, especially let's say through gymming or running, they experience a bit of pain in their knees and maybe a bit of pain in their ankles as well. So is this a function of training, or why is this happening? I've seen this in a lot of athletes as well.
I think it's a function, one, of course, it's your body is one not used to doing that form of impact. Two, it's, I think, a function of, people aren't used to, let's say, stretching and foam rolling like you and I have an idea that we need to stretch, we need to foam roll. We have that kind of inherent habit that we need to at least take one day out of the week, jump in. We are either stretching, you're putting on a video and doing some yoga, or you're taking a foam roll and rolling. So people don't do that.
Yeah.
Also mobility, that flexibility and mobility isn't there in the joints because the body is not being used to do that sort of work.
True.
So those pains are there, but then of course, because they might have never run before or jogged before, there's no muscle memory that tells them that we've done this before, we're used to it. It's like, it's the first time I'm doing this, it hurts, and I'm going to hurt for the next few days because I'm not used to it.
That's right.
It was the usual kind of, in my opinion, I mean, unless it's a chronic issue whereby people have an actual injury, that's the only things that I ever bring it about to, that it's either the body's not used to it, you have to get into the habit of now stretching because that's your new activity, because that's the only way your muscles are going to release, and work on mobility.
That's right. That's what I tell my athletes as well, that if the pain is not persisting for beyond, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks after, and if it eventually goes down, you should indulge in a bit of icing as well, a couple of times a day throughout the week. And if it still persists, then obviously see a physio. But otherwise, it should just go away, because you rightly mentioned, that there's no muscle memory. So your muscles are literally working for the first time in maybe a decade or so. So that's something new. And why I brought this up is because this is a question that keeps coming up in my Instagram DMs as well, that I just started running, I have a plantar issue, I have this issue. And it's mostly an issue of constant a new activity which is being done. Yeah. So, okay. Moving to the second part of our conversation, which is being a specialist of a 70.3. Now, so coming to the 70.3s, where you are a specialist, you have done 9 races in last 4 years or so.
Yeah, 4 years.
And then you have also done one full Ironman as well. Yeah. Just take us through the global journey of a 70.3, like the locations that you've raced, and why this is your favorite format.
It's weird. I wouldn't necessarily call it my favorite format. It's probably the one I've seen the most improvement. But actually, when I started doing triathlons, my first race I signed up for was Ironman Kalmar in 2016.
Oh.
Actually, 2016 was what I signed up for. In January of 2016, I realized that there is no way I can do a full Ironman, because my swimming was not at all comfortable. I was not able to, I didn't have any speed, no real endurance. So we decided it's not going to happen. So then one of my friends said, you know what, before you do a full Ironman, why don't we go start smaller and then move up? So I'd already, by then I'd done a super sprint triathlon. I'd done a sprint. I hadn't done Olympic because for some reason one hadn't come up, or I just didn't decide. So my friend said, let's do a half Ironman. So I've heard about a race. It's in Germany and it's amazing. It's very iconic. I said, okay, let's do it. And it worked out well because it was the day after my birthday.
Oh, okay.
So it was Ironman Crash Cow in Germany.
Okay.
So, trained, me and my 2 friends, we trained, we traveled, got to the venue, and I was still, I would say running was fine. I was okay running. Biking, I was not bad. But the swim was still kind of iffy. Like with that time limit of an hour, 10 minutes, I was like, ho jayega, I should be able to manage. Got to the venue, practice, whatever. And on race day, found out that you had to start in the middle of the water, which I'd never done in my life.
Yeah. What is that start called for a view?
God, it's not a rolling start. So it's basically, it's.
You start from a platform, or you were in the water?
You start within the water. So you were treading water. So basically it was a wet start.
Yeah.
Wet start.
Yeah.
I'd never done that before. So we went, and then also you had to start when a cannon was going to be fired, and then you'd start. So went in the middle of the water, cannon got fired, started, as soon as it started, I think throughout that swim, I got hit twice in the face with an elbow, and I had my leg pulled twice. I got to about halfway through the swim and I looked where the finish was. I was like, I'm already at 28 minutes. I'm not going to make this finish. I was very, very stressed out. Luckily, got there. I think I finished off I finished the swim in 1 hour and 30 seconds. So I was 9.5 minutes short of the cutoff, which was fine. Got on the bike and did not realize the bike. I mean, we did no research on the venue of the venue or the race thing at all. We had never, because it was all new.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was 1,200 meters worth of elevation on the ride. I had no clue. Luckily, had a road bike, and did the climbing. I had guys who were 60, 70, literally 60, 65-year-old guys on the bike going past me up the hill, and I'm there struggling like a typical, just going up the hill and constantly. I'm still moving, but these guys were just flying past. We even had a thunderstorm in the middle of the race. But luckily got the bike done, no issues. The run was fine. I had a sub 2-hour run and I finished in 6:41, which was to date like my happiest ever I felt. I mean, in the race.
First 6:41 is awesome.
So finished the race and my friend said, you know what, are we going to go to the roll down? I said, what's this roll down? I don't know what a roll down is. They're like, yeah, they give spots for people to the world championships. I'm like, dude, we were like so slow, there's no chance. He goes, but what if you get a spot? Would you take it? I said, of course I'd take it. So we went for the roll down. They started asking people who would like to go for the world championships in Australia, and they called each age group. So we said we had four spaces for the 35 to 39. Who wants to go? So of course, all of us put our hands up, and surprisingly enough, there were only five hands up, and there were 4 spots.
Seriously?
Because people had, by that time in June, because the world championship was in September, people had already got their slots at other races. So nobody needed to go. Or they didn't want to travel from Europe all the way to Australia.
That's right.
We went up, and there I have it. I got a start for a world championship. So I was like, wow. So world championship was going to be my second race, and that was going to be in Australia, in Brisbane. Trained for that race. And as a second half, I think I went down. I did 6:41 was my first half. And then Mulalava, which is the world champs, I did that in 6:09.
Wow.
32 minutes quick.
Just a difference of 3 months in between?
Yeah, 3 months.
In 3 months, you shaved off almost 30 minutes.
32 minutes.
Wow.
My swim went down from an hour down to 50 minutes.
Okay.
The bike went from 3:38 to 3:4. I think it was 3:14.
Okay.
The run was still a steady sort of 1:55, 1:56. I mean, it was like a hard race, but great race. But the best thing about that race was me and my friend who qualified. We were the first 2 Indians to ever represent India at the World Champs in the history of the event.
Wow.
70.3s, the first 2 Indians to ever qualify was me and my friend Kush. So we had Ironman interview us. We had we got taken on the Indian radio station in Brisbane.
Wow.
The Consul General of Brisbane posted about us on Twitter. So it was a nice feeling. Then half Ironman number 3 was Dubai in 2017. A better race, but really good swim, really good bike, but I really struggled on the run. I finished that in 5:41.
Wow.
So that was another
6 months, 5 months?
That was September to February, so about 5 months.
5 months, you managed to shave off another 30 minutes.
Yeah, another 30 minutes.
Wow. Your graph is literally like stuff of legends.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the swim got better, but the bike got stronger because the more you end up doing, the more I got stronger. So it helped really well. Then, of course, Swati and I were trying to decide where to travel next for a race. So then we thought of, so I had a friend on Instagram called Casper who said, why don't you do it in Copenhagen? It's a nice race. It's gorgeous. Come do it. So we said, yeah, let's go. So Ironman Elsinore was number 4. Really awful swim in a harbor. So you could just smell petrol in that swim. Bike was nice. The run was not bad either. Finished in 6:04, so it was a harder race. 6:04 was the race. Not bad. I wasn't too happy, but it was a good race to do. But luckily enough, during the roll down, I got a slot for the World Championships again. So I qualified. I qualified for a second time to go to Chattanooga. So went to Chattanooga, which is the US, was going to be my second World Champs. And there were another, I think 3 or 4 Indians who were also going.
Okay.
So we kind of met up there and went. And Chattanooga was probably my hardest half Ironman I think I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
What about Goa?
Goa is a different story. Goa is always a different story. That's an Indian hard sort of race. It was just different. Chattanooga was hard because one, the swim was a kilometer against the current
Mm-hmm.
and into the sunlight, and the first 35 kilometers on the bike was all uphill.
Okay.
35 out of 90 kilometers was just uphill.
Wow.
And then on the run, 8 kilometers out of the 21 was all uphill.
Wow.
It was a very, very painful race. Like when I finished, like Swati always takes a video of me finishing. I was like, let's just get it done with. I'm tired. I'm done. So finished the race. I think I finished in 6 hours, 18 minutes. So that was, considering that was my hardest race and not to have a worse time than my first race, I was very happy. That meant I was stronger to a point.
Yeah.
I knew that there was still a lot of work to be done. Dubai was then, of course, 2018. And that's when I started getting coached by Casper, who I met for Copenhagen. Casper, my coach, who is only 22 years old. He started coaching me, coming to Dubai. He said, I'm coming to race in Dubai. So since I'm going to stay with you in Dubai, let me coach you. I said, okay, let's coach me. And Dubai 2018 was probably, it was a dream. Like the swim went well. The bike was relatively quick. I think the bike I brought down from my first ride on the Dubai track, which was 328. I brought my ride in Dubai to 245.
Wow.
For the 90K. And then ran my fastest half marathon I've run so far. I ran the half marathon in 138.
Wow. That is after 9 kilometers of swimming and 90.
Yeah, after all of that. So I finished in 521.
Are you listening, guys? Marathoners especially.
So 521 was the time.
Oh.
Very, very happy. And then of course the next target in 2018 was Ironman Kalmar, my first full.
Okay.
Started training right after Dubai, and unfortunately I prolapsed 2 discs in my back.
Oh.
So I could not ride, could not run. I was swimming, I think, every day for 2 weeks. I did not swim 2.5 to 3K every single day. Eventually realized I needed injections in my spine.
Wow.
So I had 4 stem cell injections in my spine over the space of 3 weeks. And by then I was slowly riding. I was swimming, but I wasn't running. And in June, I started training for the full. So I only had 3 months.
Wow.
So started riding. I think my longest run was on a treadmill. I did 33 kilometers on a treadmill was my longest run. Got to Kalmar and acclimatized. Race day happened. The swim was really good. I was happy. 1 hour 30 for a 3.8 kilometer swim. The bike first half was great. I was averaging over 30 kilometers, but then halfway through the bike, my back started was a bit sore because being aero, I wasn't used to it because I only trained for 3 months. But finished the bike in I think 6 hours 18 minutes, and then got to the marathon. Felt really, really good. First 10K, 52 minutes, felt great. And then something happened in my knee. Something just gave way. I think it was because you had to run on these, the small like European pebbles, the cobblestones. Yeah, so something happened on that. So every time I went on that surface, my knee would really hurt and I had to stop. There was no swelling. I just had to walk. So I was running, walking. And eventually I ended up doing the marathon in 5:15. I finished that race in 13:20.
Wow.
Very happy to do it. It was awesome, but it's unfinished business. That's why I signed up for my next one.
Gonna be doing together.
Yeah, exactly. So talent for 2021.
Put out there. We will be doing Talent Estonia in 2021. It's in August, and I'm sure Rohit is sharing some really inspiring stories. And for our listeners who are just getting started in the sport of Ironmans, I think 70.3 is a good starting point. Before you graduate to a 70.3, a couple of sprints and Olympic distance tries in your local communities or triathlon practice sessions would really help your case. And Rohit, I just want you to share a couple of points for people who are just starting out, like people planning to do their first Ironman in Ironman 70.3 in 2021. Like, what are a couple of things you would want to tell them so that they get inspired enough, motivated enough to get on this journey?
Like the whole Ironman logo says, like anything is possible. Anybody can do it. It's a matter of being very true to yourself to be. Understand first that can you give it the time? If you can give it the time in terms of training, and you can find the time to do it, that's first things first. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to try and train for an Ironman and really tire yourself out, and you have to work and you have a family, it's not easy. It's not easy now with me having a 15-month-old son. It's a lot more difficult, so you have to manage your time.
Yeah.
But really, it is very, very possible. The idea is just that, I would definitely recommend get a coach. You need to have a coach, just because that person is going to be somebody who you're going to share a lot with, whether it's stresses, whether it's just what's on your mind, whether it's to review your data. I made the mistake when I first started of having a very average coach who I couldn't speak to properly, and when I changed, it made a hell of a difference. You need to have somebody that you can talk to and who can kind of understand where you're coming from. In terms of training, step by step, work on a super sprint, then work towards a sprint. Build up that endurance, that engine of being able to, because like when you go from you do a super sprint, you pretty much go as hard as you can. You go to a super sprint, you still go very hard. Once you go to Olympic distance, then you're kind of going a bit hard, but at the same time, you're focusing on endurance because the swim is long and the bike is a bit long and the run is a bit long. It's kind of in between. So you can go hard, but you don't want to still go too hard. And then, of course, you graduate to the 70.3 where you have to manage everything. So, up until then, you can sort out your paces, you can sort out your nutrition, which is unbelievably important, is your nutrition. You get that wrong and everything doesn't matter how fit you are, you will not do well in that race if you get your nutrition wrong. And focus on just working on little bits of weaknesses to make them into strengths. If the swim is a problem, give the time to the swim, because the swim, I think, as you know, the more time you put in the swim, the more changes you will see happening.
Yeah, that's
the more comfortable you are, because some people are not comfortable in the water. Once you get comfortable in the water, you could do so much. I'm not still great in the water, but I'm a lot more comfortable than where I was even a year back.
That's right.
It's a matter of giving it time. When you get onto a bike, first feel comfortable being on the bike, improve the power, feel comfortable with the way it moves. Then when you want, add the cleats, then use the cleats and get used to getting on and off the bike with the cleats. When you feel comfortable with that, then kind of add on bits like, starting a brick session and then trying to merge those things together, then try to do some practices. All those, there are so many little intricate bits that you can get together to put together. Take it slow and steady. Don't try to do everything in one go. Work on the swim, work on the bike, work on the run, and then try to gradually merge things together to make it a nice package.
That's what I like to tell my athletes as well, that it's more like a orchestra where you're trying to bring so many different instruments come together to play music on the race day. And it's so important that you have someone from an outside view who's looking at you, because when you're training yourself, probably there are days when you will keep going hard, try to hit PBs, or there will be days when you don't want to do it. But when you have someone who's maybe a coach or a mentor or whoever you trust your training with, that person will be able to see the overall picture and sort of guide you through the entire process. And guys, Rohit is also the head coach in OTF in Dubai. He's leading the entire chains of gyms, and he's helping a lot of clients, not only who are athletes and triathletes, but also celebrities and all. Rohit, tell us something about that perspective of being a coach and then managing your athlete life as well.
So as for me right now, I personal train some clients, so I train them in their respective gyms or in their home gyms. OTF, Orange Theory Fitness, is a studio that kind of involves, it's like a group class, but it's heart rate based on both running, rowing, and weights. So classes are about an hour long, but you can burn anything between, for guys and girls, you burn anywhere between 350 to 1,000 calories in an hour. So it's a great little workout. There are about 1,000 studios worldwide. We opened up in May 2018, so we have 2 studios in Dubai. So now I'm the head coach for both. So I teach about 12 classes a week. Classes at the minute, of course, are reduced capacity, but generally classes can get up to anywhere around about 32 people in a class.
Wow.
And some really good fitness transformations. I mean, even, I've had people who've come in who've lost 20 odd kilos coming to OTF because the workout gives you everything you need. And it's a great session. I mean, at the end of the day, it's nice to see people, who you've known for so many years or months change from where they were to where they are now. And being consistent and seeing those changes. And if you're a part of that journey, it's always a very nice feeling. As compared to managing it as an athlete, yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I used to love getting up in the morning. For me, I'm a morning person. So if I could get up in the morning, even at 4:30 to get my training sessions done by 6, 7 o'clock, I'm the happiest person ever. But now I have clients in the morning, I have clients in the middle of the afternoon, and I have clients and I teach at the end of the day. So most days I kind of do a client in the morning, I do a training session, do my clients in the afternoon, do one more training session, and then finish off. There are days when if I'm adventurous enough, I'll get up even earlier before my clients and get something done. Like sometimes on a Wednesday, I teach at 6:45. I might get to the studio and do an hour run before the class starts, just so it's done and dusted.
Yeah.
And then I manage it during the week. Like a lot of my training, surprising enough, I see it more in India and more here. A lot of people like biking in groups. Unfortunately, because of the way I work, I find it very difficult to bike with people. The times never match. So I would probably say 90% of my training I end up doing on my own. It's very depressing, but it's fine. And then it's nice because then it kind of gets you stronger mentally, I think. When you're with people cycling, you have people to talk to and you're doing your session. But once you're on your own, you have to get it done. Good points aside, yeah, it's great because it gets you mentally very, very strong. Sometimes it can be a bit depressing because you need that company sometimes with you.
Yeah.
So there are a few sessions. I find a few people. Like I do a group swim. I train every Friday. I do CrossFit with a friend of mine who I do a lot of CrossFit with. She's one of the coaches with me at OTF. She's also a very strong rugby player. So I'm trying to convince her to do Ironman Dubai next year.
Okay.
Let's see if I can convince her.
Convincing me to do Ironman Dubai.
To do Ironman Dubai, so you have to come to Dubai. Dubai is a really, really good race only because as long as the weather holds up, it's one of the 2 fastest races in the world.
Yeah.
Dubai, the 2 fastest ones. Like Dubai is great. If the weather is great, you can you'll love it. You love that race.
Guys, last time when Ironman Dubai opened up for 2020, I hardly had, like Rohit told me to register for it, and by the time I woke up in the morning to register for it, the slots were all gone. I was so disappointed, and then we have also had a couple of other plans to go and visit and maybe check out a couple of tri bikes for me, but that just did not happen. And then I had to settle for the next closest race, which was Ironman Bangsayan, which is 2 weeks after Ironman Dubai. So yeah, but Rohit, I promise that at least it's in 2021 we're gonna do at least Dubai or Estonia, at least either one of them together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Rohit, we've had a great conversations. While I would want to discuss a lot of other topics as well, we have reached the end of our time allocated available for this YouTube and podcast. I would. The last section is called as the rapid fire round. I'll be asking you certain questions where you have only 5 seconds to think and answer. You cannot more. You cannot extend your answers or change your answers. Okay?
Fine.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm always ready. I'm ready. I've never done this before, so why not?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll ask you once again. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready.
Okay, cool. In order of preference, which is your favorite apparels and shoes brand, like Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Hoka, One, Asics?
Probably on running.
On running, and then any of these brands which I mentioned?
Probably Nike and then Under Armour.
Okay. Black coffee or cappuccino?
Black coffee.
Okay. Smart training or fluidic training or outside training?
Outside training.
Okay. What's your favorite bicycle brand?
Cervelo.
Okay. What's that one bike you would, if you had enough money, you would go for?
Oh, I'd probably get a Cervelo PX.
Okay.
PX.
What's your favorite watch brand?
Oh, right now, no doubt, always Garmin.
Garmin. Why?
I mean, I've had a Polar before, and I had a really bad experience with Polar. But I love the Garmin, even though I've heard of a new brand that's come out that my professional friend uses that apparently is really, really good. So I wouldn't mind considering that. It's called Coros.
Coros. Okay.
Yeah,
If you're watching this podcast, we'll put in the show notes, we'll put Rohit's Instagram channel and Instagram profile. You can DM him. Okay, out of all the locations you've raced, which is your favorite location for Ironman?
Oh, for a half Ironman, has to be Crash Car. First one has to be the first race.
Uh-huh. Okay. In order of preference, which is your most favorite sport? Swim, bike, run, strength conditioning?
Strength conditioning, run, and then bike.
Okay.
Swim doesn't come in the rankings at all.
Okay. What's your most weakest sport out of these four?
Oh, the swim.
Swim. Okay. What are your favorite travel hacks when you're traveling for races? Like anything which saves you time and baggage and all of that.
Always. I mean, the main thing I always do is I take all my protein supplements, and I take a lot of plastic bags. So I know I'm going to sweat through so many clothes. I need to keep all those rather than asking the hotel and other people for other stuff that I need to borrow. So protein supplements and my plastic bags for all my sweaty clothes.
Supplements in like bars or like little powders?
My bars, as well as my glutamine and my BCAAs.
Okay.
We'll take it from there.
Okay. What are your favorite snacks while you're racing, like on the bike or on the run?
So the stuff that I used to drink, it's a company called Secret Training. They're based in Dubai, but they're also worldwide, I think. But Secret Training, they're really, really good. Nice. They're vegan. They're gluten free, so they really suit my stomach. As to other races where I've gone very wrong. And their bars as well. The bars are all completely fruit based, so they haven't got any additives. They're very, very good that way. Very, very clean to have, and they suit your tummy very, very well. So Secret Training, great stuff.
Okay. What's your favorite tri-suit brand or apparel brand?
Tri-suit brand, as of now, I think the best one I've worn has to be the Purpose one. The India Purpose suit is probably my favorite one.
Okay.
It was so comfortable to sweat in. I didn't really feel I was sweating in it.
Okay, cool. What's more difficult, being an athlete or being a coach?
Being a coach.
Being a coach. Okay.
Yeah, being a coach.
Why?
Because being an athlete, you listen to whatever the coach tells you to do, and you just make sure you get it done. Like if you don't get it done, I feel very upset. Being a coach, when you kind of advise people, whether it's your PT clients, and you have a certain number of clients who don't listen to you, and they feel like they know more than you do, it gets me very irritated. So I try to keep myself very controlled, and they be like, no, but internet pay, we saw this, and we saw this magazine and this video. I'm like, I know, you saw whatever you want to see, but I'm telling you what to do. So that gets me very irritated.
The time, every single day.
That's definitely.
Yeah. Okay, last two questions. You are almost on all the social media platforms like Insta, Facebook, Twitter. What are your favorite social media platforms?
To be honest, Facebook I used to be quite a lot on Facebook, but I barely use it now. I try to keep my Instagram as busy as I can, just so that, for one, people know that whatever I kind of do, I'm not lying about. Because a lot of people will say they do this stuff and they kind of might post a picture. That's why I try to post a lot of videos of what I actually do, to show people that I'm not really lying. I'm very honest as to what I say I'm doing.
Okay.
So Instagram is probably my favorite.
Why aren't you on TikTok?
First of all, I only dance when I'm at shadis. But to be fair, I love dancing. But the dub smash and all this stuff, I'm not really very good at it.
Okay. We have reached to the end of this section. What are your deepest fears, like as a sports guy?
Probably, probably one of the two things that I really worry, or three things I probably worry about is one is either having a major crash on the bike. I hear so many horror stories, especially one that you might have heard like happened about a week ago on one of the tour races where a guy. So that one, I always worry about just generally having a bad injury just for somebody to tell me that I can't do a certain sport ever again.
Sure.
And probably my last one is just, which I've not had yet, is probably having a DNF, not being able to finish a race.
Okay.
That's wise. Of course, other things are different fears, but with sport, these are my.
Yeah. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much. You have been honest. Some of the questions have been really intriguing. I hope the brands reach out to you and make you the next brand ambassador for the coming year. You have been very kind and very inspiring and motivational for all our listeners. Any parting words for people to get started in their Ironman or marathon journeys?
I would probably say do your research, plan a race out that gives you enough time to train. Don't give yourself too much of a short don't do it on a whim. Think about it in terms of if you want to race, what do you want to race, have a target, and then set out a plan. Find a coach, set out a plan, and then go for it.
Awesome, Rohit. Thank you so much for your time. You have been so amazing for inspiring all of us all the way from Dubai.
Guys, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel, try Fantry, click on the bell icon, and I will see you in the next video. Train, endure, conquer.